So welcome to a new Game Stuff episode, and there's a lot of fun things to show you guys today. But to begin with, I thought I'd address something because I've seen it in a few videos. A couple of people have said, "You've lost weight, John. How are you doing? Is everything okay?" Everything is great. Everything is really good. It was my good friend Andrew's wedding, and me and Kim knew about this ahead of time, obviously, but we knew that we wanted to lose our COVID weight before we went to his wedding. And yeah, I lost 20 pounds. So it made a major difference. I'm my weight before COVID started, and Kim is her weight before COVID and before she had the baby. So we're both back to normal and all that. Just healthy eating, nothing crazy or anything like that. You know how it is. It's so easy to eat bad at times, and sometimes we're doing that, and we've cleaned up our act and all that, and I feel a lot better for it, I gotta admit. So yeah, I just wanted to answer that because people are saying, "Hey Johnny, have you lost weight? Is everything okay?" Everything's absolutely fantastic. Now, speaking of interesting, let's get on with the very first item here. And one night, I was sitting around and I was thinking, man, oh man, the NeoGeo Pocket. Man, I really like that device. And I never owned it when it first came out, but I really enjoyed the idea of it. And I think I was just in film school at the time and I had no money, so I could never get the NeoGeo Pocket, but I always really enjoyed it. And so I started going on eBay and checking out some of the prices on it and some of the games nowadays. I was like, oh, what about this game, that game, and all that? And then all of a sudden, the weirdest thing happened to me. I was like, I have a NeoGeo Pocket. I'm like, I know I do. Because one of my friends a long time ago was selling all of his old collection for really cheap, and he sold me his NeoGeo Pocket right here. So there was one night where I pulled this out, I put some batteries in it, and I was like, oh my god, I have baseball stars. I have Metal Slug, and by the way, I didn't do this, it came this way. Somebody had ripped it ahead of time. Pocket Tennis, and the King of Fighters going on here. Pretty cool stuff, and I had this kind of like awesome Neo Geo moment. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because the Neo Geo Pocket Collection has come out with a whole bunch of games on it, and I had to pick this up. I think this was from limited run. I snagged it. I was like, this is cool. The one thing I will say about the Neo Geo Pocket in playing it, the screen's not that hot. It was hot at the time, but we've come a long way with screens now. So this is a really great way for me to play some of those old Neo Geo Pocket games on a TV in beautiful color. And some of these games, at the time were remarkable, like the Metal Slug on the Neo Geo Pocket. It was like, how did they pull that off back then? And it was really an underappreciated system that didn't really do that well. And I was like, when I saw this collection, I was like, yes. And is this all of the Neo Geo Pocket games? No, there's a strategy submarine game. I forget the name of it, but I loved the look of that game. And I was like, is that game on here? And unfortunately, it's not. That game's going for a little bit too much on eBay now, but pretty cool to get most of these games this way. So happy to have this for sure. Now, here is a curiosity, and maybe some of you guys can tell me about it. I went on to Metacritic one day, and I was like searching like one of their top rated games, just out of curiosity. And this game right here, The House in Fata Morgana, right here, this came out as like nearly the #1 game, and I was like, what is the deal with this game? And I've tried to do some research, I've looked into it, and maybe I'm not at the heart of why this is such a high rated game. Especially, it's kind of a digital novel, right? It's one of those style of games, so I'm like, why is this style of game so big? Why is it like the rating so high? And I kind of looked into it, and it seems it's the horror story, it's the characters, there's some emotional push by it. So I became very intrigued by this game, and it's by limited run, this release. I had to go into eBay and snag it because I was like, you can't buy it anymore, a physical copy. So I went and snagged it, and I was like, I thought I'd ask you guys, does this game live up to the hype of that Metacritic score? Is it really that great of a game? And it kind of bothers me that this game kind of came out and it was totally under my radar, and it bugs me when I miss things like this. But it's also kind of fun to discover them, to say, hey, what is this about this game that made it so special that so many people enjoyed? So fascinating kind of a style of game that got so big and found such a popularity. So I'm looking forward to looking into that. And here's another strange curiosity, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, right here. This is another oddity, isn't it? A lot of people were talking about this game online, and it got released. It was on Amazon, and I was like, okay, I'll get this game, because so many people were talking about it, and there seemed to be something else about this game. Just kind of like the house in Fata Morgana had this extra kind of talk going on, and this game definitely had that. And it's a digital novel as well. It's another one of those style of games, but there's supposedly some psychological horror elements, and it's really weird because it looks like you're just reading a lot of text, a lot of anime girls and stuff like that, not even a lot of animation. It doesn't look like it's something groundbreaking, but people are talking about this game. People have been talking about it for a while, and it was another one that I was like, wait a second, what the heck is this? I need to know what this is. So I picked it up, and what do you guys think about this one? It just seems to me, and I'm judging a book by its cover at this point, like just so generic, and I think that's why it's so fascinating that this has some cult fascination to it as well. I mean, I don't know what this is about or what to expect, but I heard it gets really creepy at one point. At first, it's kind of like normal stuff and all that, some dating style of stuff and going on, and then all of a sudden it goes to the 8th degree of something really weird. And I was like, that's fascinating. So another really strange, unusual game to pick up. Oh God. Here's another unusual game for me to pick up, especially when I did an episode on RPGs I tried to like. Games that I aspired to enjoy, but just didn't. There was just something about it that was just a little bit off. But you know what? This came up on Play Asia. And as much as I tried to like this game, I don't necessarily hate it. I don't hate it, but it never lived up to the expectations maybe I had put onto it. And I still think to this day it's an okay game, but there's a lot of nostalgic history for me. So I had to pick up Legend of Mana on the Nintendo Switch here. So this is the English version. I got it from Play Asia. It's a beautiful looking game. It has awesome music, but the gameplay and everything never really came together. You can check out RPGs I tried to like that episode, and I go in depth, man. I go into all of it, of why it never lived up to the hype, but still kind of cool to have it on the Nintendo Switch. I think that's what it is, the novelty of having this PS1 game on the Switch. I kind of like that. I have a lot of PS1 games on the Switch now. I'm happy to have that. Now, here's something fascinating. I had to get this. The Classic Collection for Doom. Man, there was a lot of limited run stuff going on lately. There really was. What is it about this? This is treasured memories for me, hanging out with my friend Andrew in his basement, and he had, oh my God, back in the day, back in the 90s, he had a computer, and he was running Doom on it. And there's been a few moments in life when I see certain video games, when I see like Mario 64 running for the first time, or Phantasy Star running for the first time, you're blown away, you're in shock, you're like, I can't believe it. When I saw Doom playing on his computer, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it was so smooth, it was a first-person shooter. I had never seen anything like that, and I remember going, oh my God, I want to have this experience as well. And I knew I couldn't because I didn't have a computer. My parents never got a computer. We got one years later that was just, it couldn't run anything and all that. But I always enjoyed that experience, seeing Doom at my friend Andrew's and having that like wow factor. And Doom it's got a special place in my heart for first-person shooters like Halo does. Like Halo was realistically the very first first-person shooter that I really got into, that I really dived into and fell in love with. So really happy to pick up Doom right here. Now, okay, here, this is a fun one to get into. I was going to put this up at first, and it seems to be coming now. Super happy to get this. I got it from Walmart, and it wasn't crushed. It wasn't marked when it came. I thought I was going to open the box and it'd all be destroyed, and I'd be like, oh no, and it wasn't. And I got Metroid Dread here, the special edition. Beautiful looking stuff here. I had to get this for the collection, for my love of Metroid, and I'm telling you, like, Metroid was always kind of Rob's game growing up, but when I discovered it on the Super Nintendo, that kind of changed me. You know, Super Metroid really changed me. And then playing some of the games later on really was a really great way to jump in. But when we got to Metroid Dread, I gotta say something. It was the first for me and Rob getting together and hanging out and finishing a Metroid game together. We'd never done that before. We'd always done separate playthroughs of certain games. Where this, we got to be in the same room, hanging on the same couch, laughing, joking, screaming. We had a lot to say. Playing Metroid Dread, oh my god, the ups and downs of this game, and I'm talking about the difficulty. But once you figure out the bosses, it becomes a lot easier. But that first time you're fighting a boss, you're like, I don't think I'm ever going to beat this boss ever. And then on your 10th time, you're like, I think I'm getting it, and then you finally get through it. But Metroid Dread is a hard game, is a relentless game, but it's a rewarding game. Because when you do defeat those bosses, you feel like $1 million. And yeah, for me, what it'll always be Metroid Dread now, will be my memory hanging out with Rob playing the game. That's how video games kind of work. I enjoy playing games on my own quite a lot, but I love that shared experience, like playing SMT 5 with Kim on the couch. What a pleasurable experience that was. I mean, it's so good. I mean, we really love SMT 5, and I'm still waiting for my special edition of Shin Megami Tensei 5. It's got delayed everywhere, and I'm just hoping it shows up eventually because I love that game so much, and I ordered the special edition, must be 7 or 8 months ago as well, so I'm looking forward to that showing up. But this showed up and it's not marked or dinged or anything. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. Okay, you know what? Since we're still in Nintendo stuff, I'll show this right here. I picked up an Amiibo, and as you know, I probably pick up maybe 2 a year. I'm trying to limit that still. I don't want to get into Amiibo collecting. I'm not an Amiibo collector. Used to be, got out of it. Now I'm just in it just to collect the ones that I enjoy for fun, for me. But I wouldn't call myself a collector of them. I just like having them. Terry Bogard. How could I not get this iconic character? And you know, it's funny, before I came in to do this episode, I was thinking about Terry Bogard, and I thought, this character has been around for 30 plus years now. And every time I look at this character, I still feel the magic that, you know, I got when I first saw the character on the NeoGeo game Fatal Fury. When I saw him standing on top of the hill and he's wearing the hat, and I was just like, there was something, he seemed, you know what's kind of funny about his character? He seemed so generic in a way, but that's what made him so cool. Because when you think about it, he's just wearing jeans, kind of a trucker hat and a red kind of jersey type of thing, and a white, like a white wife beater, if you want to call it that, for back in the day, and some kind of gloves. He's not too special, you know, he's not too special, but because of the subtleness of it all, he becomes so iconic and so cool of a character that, hey, I even have done cosplay on the channel of him because I think he's that cool of a character. I've even gone to Halloween parties dressed as him because I just think he's such a cool, iconic character. And he was one Amiibo that I wanted. And I started to try to find him and I couldn't track him down. And I thought, oh no, I've waited too long. The prices are way too high now. Well, guess what? I went onto Amazon. I was able to order it like easily. I was like, what? I thought this was going to be really hard to get. Not too bad, and at the same price he launched it as well. Okay, man, I'll start with this one here. I had to pick up a physical copy of Ratchet and Clank. My God, this is a game of the year for me, and I was sent a review copy, and I loved the hell of it. I finished that game, and I had to get a physical copy to represent my love for it. Definitely, it's in as a game of the year. Is it the game of the year? No, I do know what my game of the year is. I 100% know. There's a few more games I need to play to make sure I give everybody a fighting chance, but this is up there. I mean, this is a great PS5 game. This blows me away. This blew my mind. It was really the first time when I was like, am I looking at a cinema or the gameplay? And I'm like, wait, this is the gameplay. And I couldn't believe it. And that floored me. And also just the gameplay, the fun, the explosions. And let me say, I'm not a Ratchet and Clank guy. I never thought I was. I played some of the games in the past and I thought they were pretty good. The PS5 one made me a believer. And hey guys, I hope I hope all you guys are able to track down a PS5. Is it getting a little bit easier out there? Let me know down below, because I was lucky enough to get mine back in the day and order it like right away, where I know everybody else has been waiting and it's like nowhere to be found. I mean, I really feel bad for everybody. I hope it's been upped a little bit. There's a few more units out there, because I want everybody to experience some of these games. Like Returnal. I had to get a copy of Returnal as well. And Returnal is a funny one for me. It's a game that, I don't know if it's going to be my Game of the Year list. It's a game I love and I hate. Does that make sense? That was what I initially said about it. It's interesting. It's a fascinating game. But it is rinse, die, repeat. That's what it's all about. But when you get a really good run going through the game, you get the best, get better weapons and stuff like that, you get high. And I'd be keeping on going, oh my God, I can't believe how far I got. And then all of a sudden you get taken down, and you're like, God damn, and you get, it's frustrating, right? It's one of those games, it's an oddity, but it's one I had to have in the collection. Now, I've been debating this. I had to get it. Death Stranding, the director's cut. I'm a sucker for punishment, it would seem. You know, when I initially played this game, I really said, like, I am a Kojima fanboy. I'm gonna say it, I am. He earned it with me with the Metal Gear series. Is this an odd game? Definitely. Is it a fascinating game? Definitely. Is it a strange game? Oh yeah, for sure. It's all of those things. But I really liked it. And it's one of those ones I still scratch my head when I was playing it going, why do I like this? This is so strange. It's so odd. You're like kind of, combining the world and getting past certain obstacles. That's the best way I can describe it. And traversing the world and figuring out how to get past certain things. It's really odd. You are just basically delivering mail from one section to another and packages. But it's the atmosphere that gets me. It's the story. It's the music. Sometimes you're just walking, through a gigantic field and you're thinking, I'm just walking through a field, but the music kicks in and it elevates it and something happens that's strange this is a strange game. It's a very, very strange oddity that I'm still, to this day, wrapping my head around, but I still want to go back to. And it's one of those games that maybe one day I'd like to come back and talk about it in-depthly, about all the ups and downs and all that. But I mean, I do like the game, and I think the game has built a bigger audience over time, hasn't it? I think a lot of people came in and were like, oh no, this is not a game. And now people were coming back saying, no, it is a game, and it's really kind of interesting. And this is a tweaked version of it, a more enhanced version of it. And I'm fascinated to sit and play it on the PS5 again and go through it, because I only kind of got about halfway, and I was like, I'll do a final thoughts one day. Maybe I still will do a final thoughts. What do you guys think of Death Stranding? What do you think of Death Stranding? Is it a master blow or a master strike? Let me know. Is it a great thing to you? Is it a terrible thing to you? Let me know down below. We're getting near the end here, folks. We're getting near the end. Just a couple of things I picked up. Okay, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. This is like a tome of everything to do with dragons in Dungeons & Dragons, and every kind of dragon that's in there, their lairs and their history and all that great stuff, and some wonderful, if you're just into dragons, this is quite the book to get for dragons. And I love, for me, I love picking up the Dungeons & Dragons books. It became a bit of a thing for me with 4th edition. I had to get every single book. And it feels really good up on the shelf. I like looking at them and all of that. And I just love the game so much. And just to have an entire thing on the dragons. And I mean, they really get in depth here into all the different, as I said, I was talking about the lairs and all there. Yeah, so that's really cool. I had to snag that. And look at this. Had to get this. Here, you can sit with me. We'll have a D&D session, shall we? Right here. Here is my new D&D cover. I love this. I've been meaning to replace mine for a long time because mine's from like 4th edition, and I have all my notes in it and stuff like this. And hey, it's kind of changing my audio here, which is kind of interesting. But this is how I'm going to sit with my players from now on. And to be honest with you, I don't mind some of the stats and things they have in here. Some of them are useful. And some of the older ones I've gotten, they were not useful. I'd have to put in my own notes, and I still will put in my own notes. But I like the look of this one. I think it's great. It's kind of very atmospheric and all that. But here's my new DM cover and all that. And me and Kim are still playing our games, and we're loving them. We're having a great amount of fun here. I got one more item for any of you who've stuck out to this amount of time. I picked up a vinyl. I picked up an anime vinyl. I've really gotten into anime vinyl over the last bunch of years. I really have a big collection of them. One time maybe I'll show them in an episode, but I had to get this because Kim was asking me, oh, don't you have that vinyl? And I said, no, I don't have it because I've gone on eBay and I think there was an original pressing of it that was it's astronomical. It's really expensive. Nobody's paying that. I went on Play Asia and I found the vinyl for Porco Rosso, The Crimson Pig, 1992. Have any of you seen the Studio Ghibli film? Do you like it? I've got something to admit. I watched it last Christmas. I had a couple of drinks during the Christmas season, and I watched it late one night on my own. Again, I've watched it many times over the years. But I just sat there and I had a small tear, man, at the end of it. And I said to myself, they don't make them like this anymore. They really don't make them like this anymore. And Miyazaki knocked it out of the park with this movie. I love the soundtrack so very much. And I think one of the reasons why I like this movie is when I got a copy of it on VHS back in the day with subtitles, I remember showing it to my dad, and he wasn't into anime, obviously, but it was one of the animes that he said, oh my god, this is really, really good. And it kind of was bridging that thing where, like adults at that time, you know, because my parents are part of that generation that weren't into anime or video games or anything like that. They kind of looked at it as kid stuff. But this is one of those animes that was bridging it and saying, hey, no, this stuff is for adults. And this is on Netflix. I really recommend watching it. It's one of my favorite anime films. To be honest with you, I was thinking about it, so it's edging up as one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films of all time. It really, a lot of people find it a bit slow, but I find it's very, very meaningful, and there's a lot of meaning behind it. And it's what I love is Miyazaki capturing this elegance and romance of this certain time period so well. And I think for a Japanese man, he captures this European setting so well, better than the Europeans could. It's his love letter. He loves flying. He loves all that stuff. And he really, really loved what he was doing with this. And you could see it was such a passion project. And I think that's why I love the film so much. The passion is in every single scene, and it's gorgeous, man. It's so gorgeous. And playing this the other day, I took it out and I was listening to it. Small tear. The only thing is, there's I believe a Japanese woman singing a French song in it. I may be wrong about this, but that's not on the album, and I was hoping that would be, because it's kind of one of the songs that's playing right in the beginning. Maybe somebody out there knows. I don't know. I don't know if any of you are still around at this time in the episode, because I really just wanted to show this, and a lot of love here. I'm telling you, one day I got to open up an anime channel and just talk about anime, because I really, really love talking about anime. It's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about. But anyways, guys, thanks for being with me till the very, very end. And anyways, guys, until next time.